think?
Well,
Having somewhat of an...
cool. Red mate.
Red mate.
Red mate.
Mates.
In the red.
In the red.
And we're out here in the sunshine today.
Yeah, beautiful day, Chris.
Yeah. Some would say about 24 degrees.
Oh, okay. Wait, yeah. Can't confirm.
I was going to say 25, but went 24.
Oh, okay.
What are we going to talk about today then?
We're going to talk about a bit of a hot topic.
Sunshine, get it?
Yep. Yeah, I think obviously we've got some new American owners in the Premier League now, and they're trying to bring across their American ideas. And it's kind of come out over the last week or so about having somewhat of an all-star game. And what's been proposed is obviously like a North versus South. Mm-hmm. Never really been done in the Premier League before. Like everyone just kind of sticks to their clubs. They've obviously got their countries too. But you never really see them blend in anything like that. You get a couple of charity games, but at that stage it's a lot of kind of retired players and celebrities and whatnot. But yeah, what do you think?
I guess for me, I'd probably jump straight ahead and say, like, I probably agree with the majority of the managers that have come out and said I'd find it difficult to find a space in the season. In terms of an idea, I think it is a bit of a quirky idea. I think it's kind of a cool idea, and I'm not against coming up with some new little quirky things. I guess the main point of contention is, the schedule is so busy and the players are playing so many games. Do they really have time or a space where it would be safe to have a fixture that would be purely about the financial benefits? I'm not sure if there's too many pros or upsides to doing a match like this outside of money. I think there is a bit of that north-south banter within the UK, but especially within England, like Southern softies and all these kind of things from the northern side, and maybe that like uneducated joke from the southerners to the northern side. So I think within England there is maybe a bit of a banter side to it, and it could become something. I think a topic most people in the Premier League would never understand is like the state of origin in rugby league.
Yeah.
That New South Wales versus Queensland, arguably like the biggest game of their season, and it's got really nothing to do with the NRL in general. In terms of
those three
games, and it's just like state pride and things. So like there are examples of where that does work. Obviously within Major League Sport they do like the East versus West and those kind of games. So there may be benefits to that from that perspective. However, to counter that argument, I'd say the majority of the players in the Premier League are not English anymore.
Yeah.
And, does Ronaldo really care if he's playing against N'Golo Kante for like a North versus South? Does Son Heung-min really care if he's playing against Bobby Firmino, like for North versus South pride?
Nah, it's all for the money.
Yes.
For starters. So the American clubs that are kind of run like franchises, it's very different. I mean, as a fan, you kind of think, it would be cool to see like all these players put together. You create these like two all-star teams. But yeah, where do you fixture this game? I mean, immediately I think it either has to be right at the start of the season or right at the end.
Yes.
And managers and clubs, the last thing they want is one of their players at the start of the season playing in that game, getting injured. And they're like, oh, sick, we're missing our best player now. Because he played in this game that literally meant nothing. It was for money.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the season, like you said, with the players' interest, if you've got like a Ronaldo and you've gone, okay, the season's now finished, mate, you're on your holidays. Oh, wait, sorry, there's one more game.
Yeah.
We're going to put you against some of the southern teams. I don't think he's going to be too interested anyway. So now these players in their time off, where they get to go spend time with their family and travel and recover and all that, they're now having that like shortened. So yeah, I can't really see it. I mean, a big thing I think is there like when you mentioned state of origin, a very Australian idea. Already there's states, there's already lines in place. This is New South Wales, this is Queensland, these are two states. Whereas I don't think there's a defined line in England at this point in time that would be like, this is South, this is North. Because
it's always up for grabs and the point of debate, isn't it?
Like it's already a debate. I think
people draw that line. The line is different for every
I think
person.
People in the South will draw a certain spot. People in the North might draw a certain spot. People in the Midlands another spot. So already that would need to be defined. Okay, this is the half.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if that would create some more issues down the line, whether you're now creating divides between people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it kind of seems like a cool idea on paper or in theory.
Yes.
Where you think, you could create these two all-star teams. Of course, everyone would watch it. It's kind of like the Super League, where you think, as a fan, you could just watch the best teams play every week against each other. That is great. But then you kind of forget about all the other issues that brings, or the foundations of clubs, or what it means, or like when can this happen? Because like you might even have, this is maybe something a little bit kind of off or a little bit outside, but in a north versus south, you might play for a north club, but you're from the south.
Yes. Yeah.
So already, some players might be like, oh, I would actually identify more as playing, if there's a north versus south, I'd rather play for a south. There's that too. I just can't really see it happening. I mean, there's already, with the likes of the World Cup this year, that's had to come in the middle of the season. There's already so many cup competitions. It's just so congested already. COVID obviously didn't help that when they took a huge break and had to fix more in. It's just another game. And already you've got the likes of like a Community Shield where that's like a one-off game. That's the first game of the season or a week before the Premier League starts. And already it feels like it would be like that, but now it's got no connection to the clubs.
Yeah. I think another issue or a point that would have to be overcome is, for a large part in the UK, that tribalism is massive, and like my club and my players versus you and your club and your players.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it is difficult sometimes to let that go when they're playing for their national teams.
Yeah.
Never mind when it's this, North versus South game of like, say what you want about Bruno Fernandes as a player, but I don't really ever want to see him do well as a footballer. But now all of a sudden he's representing a northern team, which obviously mine falls into. That I want to see him do well. I've got no reason to ever want to see United do well. I'm indifferent about Portugal, but now all of a sudden I want Bruno Fernandes to do well for my northern team.
Yeah, it's one thing if you're expected as like an England fan to get behind English players at other clubs, but now if you support a northern club, you're now supporting like your rival players, and they're not, like you said, they're not even English or they're not even Australian. They're not anything you can relate to. You're now supporting a United player who's Portuguese.
Yes, yeah.
It's already hard enough to kind of put away the club rivalries at an international level, let alone now this North versus South.
Yes, in a money-making scheme where I think, in these American sports where it is very much like they're a franchise, and we still do have lots of people who are born in this place, so they support this team. But, how many people are like, oh, I'm a LeBron fan, so I support whichever team LeBron's playing for, or, within these American-based sports, they can sort of follow players, or I grew up in the time of Jordan, so I'm a Bulls fan, and all these things sort of.
Even the tribalism in the US is so different.
Yes, but then the marketing of that is a lot easier. You may be more inclined to buy the shirt or the jersey or some kind of merchandise of that team because you're like, oh, well, so and so plays for them.
Yeah.
Whereas within the UK, I'm not wearing any other team other than Liverpool.
No, hell no.
And I'm certainly not going to be buying a shirt because, I don't know, some other player has worn it because Kevin De Bruyne is now wearing it. I'm like, oh yeah, this is my one opportunity. He's a great player, but I'm not jumping to get that.
It's too tribal. If you've already got a club that you support, it's hard to be like, I'll support them and I'll support a North team and then I'll support this country. And for a lot of Liverpool fans or even people from the North where you have your club over the country, you're just kind of feeding in these other teams that you're like, cool, that one-off game might be fun to watch, but I'm not going to have any passion for it. Mm. Yeah, it's going to be very hard to see a Liverpool player or a player you do really like and they're now on a team with someone not even from the same country as them. Yeah. So it's not like, I don't know, Jota playing with Ronaldo. You're kind of like, they'll play together at Portugal, that's cool, but now it's like, oh, this is a northern team. I can't really see it happening. I think it's probably just going to highlight the cultural differences. I mean, maybe one day it will happen, but it will just be all about money. And I feel like the reaction in England will be similar to the Super League, where again it feels like a very American idea with these franchises and having this locked up shop where there's these teams and these games, and no matter what, we'll just play these. But it doesn't really work, I don't think, with the rivalries and the club structures and whatnot. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what else comes out when you've got this billionaire American.
Yeah, well, I think he's also mentioned things like a playoff for the relegation spots as well, didn't he? And things like that.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's just sort of like all these the playoffs and.
Well, are we going to get that at the top then? Is he going to be pushing for a final series?
Yeah.
Best of 7. Yeah. Well, I don't.
Again, it's just money making, isn't it? We have a system whereby everyone agrees that the best team wins the league and the 3 worst teams go down.
Yeah, and you can't question that over a 38 game period.
Exactly.
Everyone plays everyone home and away.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very much a money making thing. Like the cup system, there's obviously cup competitions like a Champions League or even an FA Cup, where you do have a knockout.
Yeah, and that's designed to bring that sort of mystique and the magic of the cup and these things where anything can happen.
So it's very money making, and it feels very American to me as well. Thinking about that, any kind of finals playoffs, I would kind of be against.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's a place for it in, say, the championship for that, the other spots to go up after that first, second sort of place. That is sort of like that. We got to the playoffs to get promoted.
Yeah.
And you can see, but then again, that is the top teams, and it's for one place. For the
Yeah.
majority, we've said, okay, you've got this many games.
Well, the top two automatically go through, and it's the third one that's a bit more of a lottery. But, I mean, if those clubs have just played 38 games where they've been terrible and they've got no points, a couple wins maybe, deservedly they should go down. Like, that might sound a bit harsh, but, you know, they're not good enough to stay up. So to think they could just go and turn around and play 2 or 3 it'd and keep themselves up, it'd feel like a bit of an injustice.
Yes, definitely.
Suns are
gone. Yeah, cool. That was our thoughts on the North versus South All-Star game that Ted Boehly is kind of coming up with there. Let us know your thoughts on if you think it's a good idea. Make sure you drop them in the comments down below. Like, subscribe. And anything to add on that one?
That's everything from me, mate.
Yeah, good stuff. Well done. All-Star in the making right here.
Yeah, I'll play for the North.
North, me too. Yeah. All right, that was Red, mate.
Red, mate. Thanks, guys.